From Studio DRC at the Daytona Regional Chamber of Commerce, this is the Crest of the Wave. Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Crest of the Wave, the Daytona Regional Chamber's podcast for the business community. My name's Ken Phelps. I'm the Vice President of Resource Development here at the Daytona Regional Chamber. I'm glad to have you along on another episode. Today, we're going to sit down and talk with our President and CEO here at the Daytona Regional Chamber, Kristin Weiss, who I started in the intro to say you're the newest member of the team, but you're actually not even that anymore.
Not the newest member of the team anymore.
There's been a couple of new hires since then, but thank you for sharing some time with us and allowing our membership at large to get to know you like we've gotten to know you here on the team.
Absolutely. Glad to be here.
So let's start with the very easy part, I think. Maybe it's not the easy part. Maybe it's the hard part.
All right.
Who is Kristin Weiss? Give us a little bit of background on yourself and how you got into the chamber industry.
So I've said this a lot. Nobody wakes up and says, hey, I'm going to be a chamber professional. It always, normally, 99% of the time, happens by happenstance, by accident. And that's how it happened for me, too. So I'm just a girl from Texas, born and raised in Houston. Very proud of my Texas roots. Went to Texas A&M. Whoop! That's why I have A&M colors on today. So howdy for all my A&M fans out there. And got a degree in journalism. So journalism, you can do a lot of things. I did marketing, advertising, and then really, truly fell into my first chamber job. So I was looking for a position. I had a 1-year-old at home and was told by 2 different people, why don't you go talk to the chamber exec in Fort Bend County and just see if he had any opportunities that he knew about in the county. So I did, and 5 days later, I was on his team as a communications director. So my background fit perfectly for what they needed, and 16 years later, here I am. Now, 16 years is kind of a farce because I took a 9-year break. So I started the chamber industry in 26 years ago, actually.
Okay.
In 2000, and worked for a chamber for 6 years as a communications director. Left for about 8 months, got asked to come to a neighboring chamber, went in as vice president, did that for about 18 months, got recruited into senior living. Senior industry.
I was going to ask what transition you made.
Yes, my 9-year hiatus. I've always said, jobs happen when they're supposed to happen. The doors will open, and you know that it's the perfect job when the doors just open and it's easy. And that's how all of my jobs have been. I was asked by a former chamber board member to join the Meals on Wheels team. So I was the development director for Meals on Wheels in Fort Bend County for 4 years, and just loved being around seniors, learned a lot about seniors, learned a lot about poverty in my own community, which was really eye-opening. When you think that you live in a very affluent community and then you see and go to some houses that don't have hardwood floors, they're, floors with holes, and couches that are beds in the kitchen, but they are proud of what they have. And so, you honor what they have and you talk with them and respect them, and they are just grateful for everything that they have in their life. And so it gives you a different respect for your community as well. And then I was recruited to senior living. So I became a real estate agent for seniors in independent assisted living and memory care. So just a quick step back. In my chamber career, I met my husband, who was also a chamber professional for a long time. And he used to say that we spoke the same language, chamber language. There is a definite chamber vocabulary, right? You understand? Okay, so I left and went into senior living and had a completely different vocabulary. I was talking about Alzheimer's and independent living and safe living and assisted living and what that looks like. And he's like, I don't understand what you're talking about anymore because we don't speak the same language.
He said, I can't even talk to you anymore.
I know, right? I don't understand. It's like gibberish because you're talking in senior living terms. And I loved it. And what I loved about senior living is that I no longer had grandparents, but I had a building of 200 grandparents, and they would say the darndest things. You never know what's going to come out of a senior's mouth until you're just sitting there dumbfounded and not knowing what to say, right? Because you're just in shock because they have no filter. But you just love them. I had a gentleman that loved my shoes, would give me sales tips if I wore high heels. No joke. He would call me out, "Hey, Kay, has everybody seen Kay's shoes today?" It's, it was a shoe fetish. It was fine. Loved him dearly. He was a World War II pilot. It's extreme respect for the lost, that generation. It was an amazing generation. And I was grateful to be in that. And then changed language again and went into long-term acute care, healthcare.
Oh, okay.
Completely different. I was reading medical charts, Ken, making diagnosis to get them into my hospital. Talk about a different language than my husband.
I now understand why you got back into the chamber industry, though, because
right?
that's pretty serious.
It was big, and I loved it, and it was good, and then went into home health, and then was asked to come back to the chamber, and I was blessed, and I was shocked, and I've been out for 9 years, but what that 9 years taught me was how to take care of my aging parents, and I was blessed to have that door open for 9 years and really understand how to take care of my dad who had dementia, and now my mom that's showing signs of the same thing. And so you really learn how to take care of people and how to appreciate all the things that your parents go through. But I was also blessed to be asked to come back to the chamber. And so after lots of discussions with my husband, I was leading a chamber that I had already been at. So I was grateful to come back to a community that I knew, a community that I lived in, and people that I respected. And so it was great to be back home in the chamber world.
It's like a new house that feels like home.
Exactly, right? Yes.
Yeah.
And so I'm on my 16th year in the chamber. Went to Institute. You know well about Institute. So I have my IOM from Georgia, and Southeast is the best. You agree?
Of course.
Right? Agree. So, and then 2 years ago, got my certified chamber executive designation. So brutal process, but glad I did it. When my former chamber also went through accreditation, just like this one. So 5-star, first time. It really opens your eyes to everything that chambers need to be doing to be running correctly. For their members. So my personal interest, I love hiking. Charlie and I started hiking national parks during COVID because we couldn't do anything else. So why not get out and explore this beautiful country that we have and the natural resources that God put on this earth for us to go explore. And so we try to hike at least one time a year. And we like to travel abroad. So we try to do that one time a year. We love to try new restaurants and food and all the things, just fun being out in our community. So we have found that to be a lot of fun since we got here 5.5 months ago. 5.5 months ago.
Yeah. There's times when you think that's really short, but then it sometimes seems like it's been a long time. So Kristin mentioned the Texas A&M support.
Gig 'em, Aggies.
We had a very quick introduction to each other from a personal interest standpoint. Being a Florida grad, as many of you know, Texas A&M and Florida played each other on the first weekend of your first week here on the job.
Yes.
Texas A&M won, and we were having a rough season, so I was kind of okay with that because I'm like, what better way to build rapport with a new leader than to concede the football victory?
So what happened?
Well, we lost, and we got a new coach, and
we got 3 coaches fired this year. LSU, y'all,
ours,
and one other, I think.
I'm blanking on who that was.
I'm blanking on it who it was too, but Ken came in on Monday and said that his office had been vandalized.
True statement.
True statement. There may have been A&M crepe paper all over his office. I don't know who did that, but it was me.
But it's fun, and
But it was fun.
for all of you who are SEC football fans. You understand this conversation. For those of you that are not, I'm sorry.
And now Ken understands what a battered Aggie syndrome really is, because I've been able to explain it to him multiple times throughout the season.
And have had some talks at other points during the season. So well, let's talk about, so you were in and out of the chamber industry in Texas, born and raised in the Houston area, except for your time at College Station at Texas A&M.
Whoop. Yep. Mm-hmm.
So for those of us that don't know, some of us had, if you attended the 106th annual meeting, you heard a little bit about this story. How do you end up with the opportunity here at the Daytona Regional Chamber? How did that come about? Were you looking? Were you not? Share that story a little bit for those that have not heard it yet.
So I wasn't really looking. I was dabbling. I had been at my chamber 7.5 years. Had been successful and doing a lot of things there. Like I said, accreditation and starting a total resource campaign. But it's really because of Nancy Keefer posting that she was retiring, and a text message that I sent to her saying, hey, by the way, I met Nancy at Institute, so that's how we knew each other. There's a lot of chamber execs retiring in Florida, and what's going on? And she said, my job is being posted. You should apply. I can't remember the exact, but there were like 6 words. And it was basically you should look into that job. And me sitting back saying, I would never get that job. Like this, it's Daytona Beach. It's 1,400 miles away from home. I'm not a Floridian. I'm a Texan. Would they accept a Texan? I don't know. The states are very similar in a lot of ways, but also very different in a lot of ways. But I understood hurricanes, so that was good. That was easy. I came from a 5-star chamber. This is a 5-star chamber. And so I applied and got an interview and came here and looked at Daytona. So I had never... I'd never been to Daytona Beach until I came for my interview, and loved it. Charlie and I came and explored a little bit, came back after I was offered the job, and explored a little more, and here we are. We live in Port Orange, and we love it. It's a 5-mile commute as opposed to a 35-mile commute to my office. I get a beautiful sunset and sunrise like every day. Yesterday we saw a sunrise when we came to the office. It was gorgeous. So here I am, 5.5 months in. So started in October, officially took over January 1, and it's been quite a ride in the last 2.5 months.
A whirlwind. A lot has happened. A lot has changed in that time period. Let's talk for just a minute about your initial impressions of the community, because as you mentioned, you never lived anywhere but Texas, and it's one thing to go visit a community,
yes,
and kind of be on vacation. That's wholly different than living in a community where it's your day to day. As you started to get settled, I'm curious about yours and Charlie's first impressions of the Daytona Beach region, Volusia County in general.
Yes.
What were your first thoughts?
It felt like home, almost immediately. I mean, sometimes we still feel like we're on vacation. Like, do we really get to see this view every single day, right? It's beautiful, and having the beach 2 miles door to beach is a little crazy in my mind. It was a 45-minute drive for us, and it's beautiful beach, it's beautiful water, but the people made it feel like home almost immediately. Surrounded by the staff that wanted to help, the board that wanted to help, the volunteers, the members that were immediately like, let us know what we can do to help you. How do we find doctors? It was members, reaching out like, I don't know anything about anything. We're on Florida healthcare plans, and I need to find this list of doctors. Please help us. And so a lot of recommendations, a lot of exploring the community. If any of you follow on Facebook, whatever, on the weekends, Charlie and I are usually out and about, trying out a new restaurant. This weekend we were trying out Pictona pickleball, took a beginner's class. Why not get ingrained in your, stop for coffee? try out pickleball.
Yeah.
We've played. We needed good instruction. We had not had good instruction. So it's fun just to get out. Every weekend is just a different explorative opportunity for us to get out and learn our community.
So let's transition now and talk about your experience in the chamber a little bit. You're going to be approaching, depending on when you're watching this, you're 5 months in, pretty close to the day today. So approaching that 6-month mark.
Yes.
What are your initial thoughts? Does it match what you thought it would be coming into the organization? How has it been different? And I'm sure in a lot of good ways where you're like, I think it's going to be like this, and then holy cow, it's better than that.
Yeah, it's been a great experience. A lot of changes, as you mentioned, and I mentioned at the beginning of this podcast. A lot of staff transition, which I was not expecting, but I think it's been really good transition for us. I think it's been good for our volunteers, our board members who have been on the journey with me since I took over January 5th, and just, having fresh eyes look over everything and asking a lot of questions and having them engaged. And I think that the board and the volunteers are really, and staff, have been open to just conversations about ideas. This chamber, 5-star chamber. This chamber was amazing when I stepped in it. But I think, bringing just experiences that I've had and just looking at the opportunities that we have here, it's been really exciting to see what we've been able to accomplish in just 2.5 months of me taking over. But even more exciting on, going forward, what that's going to look like. A year from now, we've said, we'll look back in January, I'm like, oh my gosh, what a year it's been. I'm looking back over the last 2.5 months saying, oh my gosh, look at the last 2.5 months, what we've been able to do. And it's just good. I'm excited about the opportunity in the future for the chamber.
There is a lot of good work already being done.
Yes.
And one of the things that we say in the industry, we've said about our organization for a long time, is a chamber is only as strong as its membership, and its membership is only as strong as its chamber.
Yes.
And that symbiotic kind of relationship that's involved. We really do have an incredible volunteer base.
Yes.
Our board of directors, this is not a resume building, I'm just going to put it on there kind of board. They're a working board. Our ambassadors, there's so many people involved in making our organization successful. We've got 8 to 10 people on staff at any given time. There's so much going on. No way staff could do everything. You have to have engaged volunteers.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we have great volunteers from, like you said, the ambassadors, all the people that worked Bike Week last week that aren't necessarily even ambassadors. I met people that came in from out of town to work Bike Week. So even non-chamber member volunteers who helped us through those 10 days, which were amazing. And any one of them will have a conversation with you. And you can ask a question of any of them, and they're going to give your opinion, whether it's good, bad, and different. I need to hear it, but it helps us stay connected to them and stay connected to our mission and what we need to do to accomplish things here at the chamber.
So let's talk about accomplishing some of those things. We'll transition into talking about the organization, and for those of you that are members, I think you'll find this engaging and hopefully insightful into what's to come. As we all know, advocacy is the cornerstone of the Daytona Regional Chamber. I've said that more times in my 9.5 years than I can recall. But that really is such important work, and it's, I think, a little bit unique here at our chamber, at least in our region, because it is literally at every level. It's school board, it's city, it's county, it's state, it's federal, and sometimes combinations of those three because there's a lot of overlap there. What do you see on the horizon for the Daytona Regional Chamber from an advocacy perspective?
So the exciting thing is not exciting because we lost David, who moved away from us. Congratulations, David. By the way, when you watch this, we miss you. But we have a new advocacy director starting in May. He is a legislative aide. He is well-versed in all things legislative and advocacy. So we are very fortunate to have Drake coming on our team come May 4th. And he's already given me a lot of ideas on what he wants to do and how he wants to be involved. He may jump in some meetings before he's even here. But, we have the legislative welcome back coming up. We have the advocacy task force because it's an election year. So we'll be doing candidate endorsements this year, which is something that I've never done before. So I'm excited about seeing the process and going through that whole experience with our advocacy task force group and our cornerstone group that has so many ideas and keeps us engaged on so many different levels. We have a hobnob this year and super excited to see that as well. There's just so much going on. It's a little bit different from Texas. Ken and I have talked, Texas is in legislative every other year, so it's a little different to me to have an every single year legislative agenda, which is different and exciting, and just have that great connection with all of our elected officials, not just in Tallahassee, but on the local level as well, and getting to know, our community, our local communities, the surrounding communities, school board. We've been engaged. We were in two different events last week with the school, and just learning all the things that they're doing and how we're partnering with them. And how we can help them in the advocacy world, but just staying connected. And I'm excited to see how all the things come together in this very important pillar for us in advocacy. So
yeah, and important, I think, to differentiate for folks who are not as familiar. You heard Kristin say Cornerstone Committee, and you heard Kristin say Advocacy Task Force, and
very different.
If you are not aware of those, you might go, boy, that sounds like the same group. And there is some overlap in membership, but their tasks are very different. So the Cornerstone Committee is our group that they kind of keep an eye on the issues. They help us develop our legislative agenda and our priorities and what are the things that we're advocating on your behalf as a business owner in the community or a business leader in the community. The Advocacy Task Force, their task is candidate endorsement, review those.
Every other year.
And that's an interesting process because it's so subjective getting to know person to person to person. So the process that they developed to really give it some objectivity, yes, I think was really well done. And you mentioned it new for you. It was new for us the last election year, a couple of years ago. Right, so we're only
in year two, but it was 2 years ago.
The Wiley veterans of the task force have done it once already, so they'll be able to help a little bit.
Already.
But getting that process, I think, is important because when you're building a relationship with elected officials, it has to be fair and applied equitably across the board. And sometimes you're going to agree with those officials, and sometimes you're not. And you need to be able to balance the relationship.
Take your opinions out.
Yeah, balance the relationship of, hey, I need to ask you for something, or I need to advocate for you to be against something, depending on the issue. It's interesting. I thought the task force did a great job of develop a questionnaire, have them respond, and every candidate answers the same question so that we have something of an apples to apples comparison amongst candidates. Well done to them, I think, on that process.
Yeah, no, I'm excited about the process. Had a long meeting about it yesterday, just kind of going through all the candidates, understanding each of the elections that are coming up, the players, and how that pertains to the Advocacy Task Force and us moving forward. We're starting the end of this month with meetings, and we'll start endorsing, having those conversations and interviews in June. So it's here.
It's coming very fast.
Whether we're ready or not.
Yeah, it's coming very fast. Another of the important areas that we do work in here at the Daytona Regional Chamber, I know, is also a personal passion for you and myself as well, because of our close relationship with the school district, with our higher education partners. Workforce development is going to be one of the big issues for all business, regardless of industry, for the foreseeable future because of the trends of birth rates and retirement waves and all of those things coming on. I want to give you the floor for a minute for your personal perspective on that, of what we're doing as an organization, but why it's important. Where do you see opportunities for us?
Oh, gosh. I think one of the biggest initiatives in any chamber should be workforce development. As you said, it's a big passion for mine. It's a program that I grew at my former chamber from nothing. We didn't have a workforce development area, and then grew it to 3 different programs, 2 award-winning statewide, which was very gratifying. And, this county specifically needs over 19,000 jobs by 2030 to keep up with the demand of the workforce. And I think just knowing that number will fuel our direction and what we need to do for workforce development. So, there are already great programs in place. There's, the Level Up Soft Skills Summit, which I think is amazing. All high school students and even younger students need to understand soft skills. When I had conversations with higher ed back in Texas, the one thing that they saw was lacking in almost all their students was their soft skills. And so, as easy as here's how you do a handshake, here's your elevator speech, here's your eye contact. Where do you put your name badge? Anyway, it goes on the right side. Just FYI, I'm going to teach you that right now. And why? Because then it forces you to look in somebody's eyes. So that's my lesson for you today. But it's important for you to have those conversations with our youth. Our youth are our future. And that's why workforce development is so important. And on the flip side, our current workforce is important too, because some of them might want to reskill, upskill, change directions, and there's such great opportunities with our higher ed here in Daytona Beach and our community to be able to go back to school and get those new skills, or get with a company that will send you back to school to get some skills. And just finding those partnerships, I think, are key to growing the chamber, but growing our community in a way that we will be able to fulfill these 19,675 jobs by 2030. It's already 2026, so in 4 years, we need to have almost 20,000 new jobs, net new jobs. I was going to say,
that's net new jobs.
Net new jobs.
If something happens and we lose...
Yes.
1,000 or two.
We're going to have to backfill.
Add that total to that number as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that number is fluid. Like every day we can go in and check that number thanks to the Florida Chamber scorecard. And so for us, it's a great opportunity for us to build on things. We're already doing readers to leaders because, our third grade reading level was lower, and now it's 57%. It's one of the highest ones, which is great. But we have so much more opportunity to grow. And one of the programs that I did at my former chamber was in manufacturing. We had a manufacturing day, and that's one of the first things that we talked about is there are manufacturers in this community, and how do we connect them with the future workforce, with the school district, and then with our higher ed. And that's really the key, is connecting the three. You have to have business, you have to have the chamber, you have to have the education and the youth. And so trying to bring the right partners to the table, which I know that you've already had those meetings, to really define what a manufacturing day, or a day during manufacturing month, which is in October, what would that look like for us? What is the need for our businesses? And so the businesses explain to the higher ed, these are the skills that we're going to need. So can we get those built in your programs on the higher ed level? And then educate the students in, do you know that girls can be welders? And if the girls are welders, that they would walk out of school with a job making high 5 figures the minute they walk out? And girls are like mind blown, like, I could be a welder? Yes, you could be a welder. And you would make a lot of money. HVAC, go get your HVAC degree at one of the higher eds here, and 18 months you're making, $60,000, $70,000. So, there's an opportunity to educate all three levels, from, the youth, and empower them to do great things, and stay in Volusia County, stay in the Daytona Beach region, and work here and stay here and support their families, have great jobs. The new almost 20,000 jobs that we're going to have by the time they get there. And there's just great opportunity. And this is just step one of a program that we can build into something really amazing.
Yeah. And I think that's really a reason the Chamber can play a significant role in that. Because chambers are, by their nature, one of the few organizations that can bring vast and varied stakeholders to the table around a common issue. And this is a great example because the manufacturers need it.
Yes.
Higher education needs students in their pipeline. The students need to understand what career opportunities are out there. Their parents need to understand. I've talked with several manufacturing leaders, higher ed leaders who, when you're talking about manufacturing, the parents immediately have that flashback to their parents' era of manufacturing, and it's hot and sweaty and it's dirty and it's sooty and it's masks and bright welding guns. Like most of the manufacturing being done these days, and by and large across Volusia County, is
robotic,
almost computer programming
yes.
more than it's manufacturing, because it's so technical. The margins are the tolerances are so minute. Yeah. It's such an exact science, but students don't understand that, and the parents don't really understand that. So there's an educational process to all of that, but we have the ability to bring all those folks to the table, and I know there's some excitement from some of the conversations that I've had with folks out in the community that you and I have had. So looking forward to that.
It doesn't have to be just like in a manufacturing warehouse. I mean, hospitals need manufacturing type positions. The school district needs manufacturing type positions. We saw it last week where, HVAC students are going right to work for Volusia schools because they got their degrees in those things. And so it doesn't have to just be hot and sweaty jobs. They're needed in all different levels. So it's such a great opportunity.
Agreed. The last part I want to ask you about is what you see on the horizon for the Daytona Regional Chamber from an organizational standpoint. We've talked about some programs and advocacy and workforce and that kind of stuff, but just generally speaking, a quick synopsis of what do you see in the next 6 months, 1 year, 2 year, 5 years?
Yeah, well, we will be preparing for our reaccreditation next year. So a lot of what we do this year will help us prepare for that. And if you don't know what that means, it's a very rigorous process with the U.S. Chamber. But I think as a team here, just defining what our future looks like, where we want to go, what do we need to do that? Do we need to evaluate, all of our events, our programs, and see what is still working in our mission, what needs to go be put into place for our mission. We're presenting a new opportunity coming up at the end of the month called Unloop. You'll hear more about it. But it's just providing opportunities for all of our members to participate on some level. If you don't think that you can afford to be a part of the golf tournament, well, we have something for you. If you don't think that you can be at all of our events or you're too small to market yourself, we have something for you. So there is a lot of exciting things coming on board that you will start hearing about in the next few months. The team is working really hard, and we're just having some really great conversations about opportunities for our members. And I think that is the key to growth, is not just, hey, do you want to be a member of the chamber, but why do you want to be a member of Chamber? And this is how we can help you be a member of the Chamber. And this is how you can use the Chamber to your benefit. And I think the more we have those conversations and the more our volunteers and our board and the staff understand the why behind our members and what they need, we'll be able to tailor their experience with the Chamber. And I think that's really exciting.
Yeah. We often will tell, and maybe one of you watching we've had this conversation. You can't assess the value of your membership by your ability to engage and attend events. No. Because on staff, we're paid to do this, and we don't go to everything across our team. We divide and conquer and split some things up. Yeah. There just literally are not enough hours in the day. But it's about building a strong enough economic and business environment so that our businesses can be successful. And I think that's the biggest part. There's nothing that we do here at the Daytona Regional Chamber that doesn't first go through that lens of how does this advance our mission in support of our members.
Absolutely. If it doesn't fit in the mission, it's not on the calendar.
Well, looking forward to these next months, weeks, years, et cetera, with you at the helm. Not officially, because she's been doing it 5 months, but welcome to the team. Glad to have you in the community, and looking forward to see where this all goes.
Thank you. We're excited to be here. I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
We're glad to have you along on another episode. If you are watching this on our YouTube channel, make sure you click subscribe, help share it, spread this message out across the community. If you are driving, I hope that you're not watching on our YouTube channel. I hope that you're listening on Spotify or Amazon or iHeartRadio or one of the other platforms that our audio version is on. With that, glad to have you along, and we'll see you next time. So long, everybody. If you enjoyed this podcast, please be sure to subscribe wherever you like to listen to podcasts. For more information on our business community, visit our website at DaytonaChamber.com. Until next time, be ready to catch the next Crest of the Wave.